new provision that we would be able to give to them in this new school. Desperate. I, like Sonia Reynolds, have had, I've had awful experiences with a young mother who has 2 children with seriously bad ALN needs, serious disabilities. And that person's life is so difficult and so hard. And she's lucky because she has a school down this end of the authority that is extremely good and can help her. But her life is still, I don't know how she does it. I honestly take my hat off. She's got a 15-year-old seriously disabled child and a 12-year-old with a lot of complex needs who is not having as much attention as he should have. So please think of those people that desperately need this ALN facility that we can't afford without extra government spending. We can't afford a new school for Llanguwch and for Allwen. We can't afford a new swimming pool. But if we pool the money, we tick all the boxes for the funding for Welsh Government for the 21st century schools. Yeah, things aren't perfect. And councillors have rightly brought their concerns today, as they have done for those of us that have been here for a little longer over the last few years. And rightly so, and they've asked the questions they need to ask. But I don't think, I wouldn't want to be going home tonight and explain to Llanguwch and Allwen pupils why they won't be having a new school, and they'll have to be with the provision they've got, and God knows when they're going to have the funding. They're not going to have a new swimming pool because we're not going to be able to afford that unless we can source extra funding, which is great, but we don't know whether we can or can't. And God's a bribe, pupils. I've been in a porter cabin long enough for me. So my personal opinion is I will be voting for this provision today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. I see no further indication, so I'll call on the Vice Chair, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few of my observations. I must admit, when I was canvassing as a councillor for Cardickston last year, I admit I knew nothing at all about the Swansea Valley School's recommendations. I just concentrated on my own ward. Since then, I've spent time on investigating the issues involved, travelling to the Valley several times. For those who don't know, I'm an ex-secondary school teacher of 32.5 years, teaching at a small comprehensive school in Bridgend. I'd like to refer to a statement earlier about having more applications for a job for bigger schools. That is obviously going to happen because the pay for bigger schools is more. That doesn't always result in the best head teacher being appointed. At the start, I concentrated on what is best for the pupils. I'm lucky to have 2 grandchildren aged 6 and 4, so obviously they're in the situation and many of the pupils are in the Swansea Valley schools. I can only use my experience to judge the proposal. There are a few issues from the report from which I am uncomfortable. Firstly, the expected improved standard of education. On looking at recent Estin reports for the recent new build schools, not naming any schools in particular, I find that for several, the standards shown are adequate. I can't see where the increase and improvement from the current schools have come from. This is the reason why I bring that up, that this is not automatic, that a bigger school will automatically result in better standards. Secondly, I considered transport management. It's come up quite a lot today, for which there is no report before us to support the recommendation. I worry about this as my grandsons attend Abbey School, where I often drop off and pick them up. The traffic management for this school is virtually non-existent. Nearly a year after the school has opened, the school has yet to be finished with the drop-off zones needed. Construction rubbish litters the grounds and the buckets are out when it rains. This brings me to next on to the quality of the build. I can only speak from the experience. I chat with teaching friends from Baybaglan who have pointed out that the number of repairs that have had to be done since the school has opened has been incredible. Cleaning of the raised pipes which are open requires specialist equipment, and I dread to think what the maintenance bill is for Baybaglan. I think that it's a case that all that glitters is not gold. I questioned at an earlier date why Reed of Row had been dropped from the original plan and was told it was because of numbers. Having listened today, we seem short of numbers, so I can't understand why Reader Row was dropped out. I also find that in the actual report, it says Reader Row is relatively new. It's over 40-year-old. And as we know, there's one thing about the Victorians, they knew how to build buildings that last. Our modern buildings rarely last longer than 40 years, which is where Reader Row currently sits. I also can't understand how, if numbers were a problem, why Godricraig wasn't the school that was taken out, being the furthest away. I wonder why, if Victorian buildings are not up to scratch, why we have recently opened a Welsh medium school, Ysgol Tregellis, in Neath into one of those Victorian buildings. Finally, on the issue of consultation, over 70% of the responses, 3 sets of governors, 2 town or community councils, and the local AM, Sioned Williams, were against the proposal. I wonder why we have consultation. Having considered all the facts, I think to myself about the people that this ultimately affects, the children. And I can remind you that they are primary children. Let me put it in this place and ask you the question. If it was you, a child or grandchild, such as my grandsons, were living in Godricraig, would you want them to travel down 4 miles down the school to Pontardawe? I have to give my apologies to the parents of the children in Godricraig for what may be continued inconvenience. But my answer to that question for myself is no. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rogers, and thank you all. I think we've had a really good debate here this afternoon, and I hope you've all had a chance to get your points across. I would also like to thank those who took the time to respond to the consultation. It was especially lovely to see the responses from the pupils, because at the end of the day, this should all be about them, making sure our children receive quality education, and above all, that they are happy whilst receiving this education. As a mother of 2 boys in years 1 and 2, I know how important this is to the parents of the Swansea Valley. We have heard many interesting questions and contributions, and it is clear the members are really struggling with the lack of information in certain areas. It is also evident in the responses to the consultation that there are a lot of what ifs. The plan is supposed to be having the right school in the right place. Is the Swansea Valley the right place to have the largest English medium primary school in Wales? I'm not convinced. Looking at the objections, we've got the local MS, the head teachers, board of governors of all the schools in the Swansea Valley, Pontardawe Town Council, Killybeabill Community Council, those supporting the Welsh language in the area like Tir Gwryd, Rhag, Menter Iaith. These are the people and organisations that really know the Swansea Valley. And we've also heard concerns from local members here this afternoon. We've heard Councillor Peter Rees say, why would we deprive the pupils of the Swansea Valley from this school? It's simple, really. They don't want it. So I know that some of you this afternoon won't have even visited the Swansea Valley. Well, firstly, can I tell you, you're really missing out. And secondly, can I ask you to consider whether you would be happy for this proposal to go ahead in your area? With all that being said, we will move to the recommendation here before us this afternoon. As you are aware, the report is for decision. The recommendation is on page 36 of the report. I will read out the recommendation to ensure the committee and public are clear of the proposal in front of us. It is recommended that, given due regard to the responses to the consultation, the integrated impact assessment, the Welsh language impact assessment, and the impact assessments in relation to equality, risk, community usage, and the information referred to in this report and the appendices. A, in line with section 48 of the School Standards and Organisation Wales Act 2013, members approve the statutory publication of a proposal to establish an English medium 3 to 11 school with an LSC in new build premises to accommodate pupils from the current catchment areas of Altwen Primary, Godricraig Primary and Llanguwch Primary, all of which will be discontinued on the 31st of August 2025. B, the proposed date of implementation to be the 1st of September 2025. C, notice of the proposal to be published on the 25th of April 2023 allowing 28 days for receipt of objections and a report to be brought back to members following the outcome of this period for final determination by members. This recommendation will need to be proposed and seconded to allow the committee to go to a vote. Can I please have a proposer?
I'll move the recommendation, Chair.
Thank you. And a seconder, please.
I second, Chair.
Thank you very much. As you are aware, within the earlier discussions, I, as chair, have proposed that we have a recorded vote. Please, can I have a seconder?
I'll second that, Chair.
I will now hand over to Alison, who will take us through the process.
Diolch, thank you, Chair. So I'd like to take members through this process and explain the process as we move forward. Firstly, I wish to confirm that the recommendation in the report has been proposed and seconded. I understand that a recorded vote has been requested and that this has also been proposed and seconded. So in line with our constitution, to request a recorded vote, it must be voted for by 1/6 of all members present who are able to vote today at today's committee meeting. So to confirm, we have 25 voting members at the Joint Committee today. Therefore, we will take 1/6 of the members as 4. So we're going to need 4 members to vote in favour of a recorded vote. So firstly, could I therefore ask for all members in favour of a recorded vote to either raise their electronic hand or raise their hand in the chamber? I think we've clearly surpassed 4 members committee, so we will now move forward with the recorded vote. So the process will move as forward. I will call each individual member by name, and I will ask that each member confirm whether they are for or against the recommendation, or whether they wish to abstain. If you can please speak clearly so that we can record your vote accordingly. Following this, we will tally the votes and we'll proceed to confirm the outcome to members. So I'll now proceed with the vote. Councillor Tim Bowen.
Against.
Councillor Wayne Carpenter.
Against.
Councillor Carol Clement Williams.
Oh,
Can you please confirm, Councillor Clement Williams?
I did say sorry, 4.
For, thank you. Councillor Matthew Crowley.
For.
Councillor Charlotte Galsworthy.
For.
Councillor Nathan Goldup-John.
Against.
Councillor James Henton.
Against.
Councillor Chris James.
Against.
Councillor Jeff Jones.
Against.
Councillor Rob Jones.
For.
Councillor Caroline Lewis. Against. Councillor Rydian Maisen.
For.
Councillor Suzanne Paddison.
For.
Councillor Ken Phillips.
Against.
Councillor Rebecca Phillips.
Against.
Councillor Sean Percy.
For.
Councillor Peter Rees.
For.
Councillor Suzanne Renkeys.
For.
Councillor Sonia Reynolds.
For.
Councillor Anthony Richards.
Yn erbyn. Against.
Councillor Phil Rogers.
Against.
Councillor Marcia Spooner.
Yn erbyn against.
Councillor Dan Thomas.
Against.
Councillor Dave Whitelock.
For.
And Marie Caddick.
Abstention.
Thank you. If you just bear with me a moment, members, while I tally the votes. Thank you, members. I can now confirm the results of the vote. So the results are 11 for the recommendation, 13 against the recommendation, and 1 abstention. Therefore, I can confirm that the recommendation is not supported to Cabinet.
Thank you, Alison, a diolch i bawb am ymuno â ni heddiw, yn enwedig i nifer o'r gymuned sydd wedi dod a wedi cymryd rhan yn y broses. Thank you all for joining us today, especially for members of the community who have taken part in the process. Can I please conclude this meeting and ask that members exit this meeting and those who are involved in the Cabinet meeting join via the invitation in their virtual diaries. Please allow 15 minutes for administrative arrangements to be taken. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you.